There comes a time when the great game of life no longer needs you to play alone. The world, in its endless busyness, will keep spinning. People will keep talking, and ambitions will keep bubbling like a kettle left too long on the stove. But you, my friend, have earned the right to step back, to sit quietly, and let it all unfold without your intervention. You see, silence is not empty. It is full of everything that words cannot reach. A younger man argues, fights, insists on being heard. But an old man smiles, listens, and knows that most of what is said is just the wind playing with itself. It is a peculiar thing. As we age, we are expected to grow wiser, to have the final say, to be the revered elder. But wisdom is knowing when to stop speaking, not out of secrecy, not out of reluctance, but out of the sheer realization that there is nothing left to prove. Honey, a river does not argue with the rocks. It meets, it flows around them. And you, having flowed through the rapids of life, now find yourself in a slow and steady stream where movement is no longer necessary. And the young will chatter. They will insist. They will scream their convictions into the void, believing the void will answer back. But you know better. The void does not argue. It simply is. So let the noise pass you by. Watch, laugh, and sip your tea as the world scurries about. Be silent not as an absence, but as a presence so vast that words can no longer contain it. In youth, we are like eager dancers, stepping onto the grand stage of life, twirling through ambitions, chasing dreams, and moving feverishly to the rhythm of desire. We race toward the future, believing that fulfillment lies just beyond the next turn, the next achievement, the next applause. But as the years unfold, something peculiar happens. The music, once so urgent and loud, begins to soften. The frantic steps slow down. We realize that we are no longer leading the dance. We are watching it, right? And in this watching, we find something unexpected grace. The world no longer needs our constant movement to keep spinning. It moves on its own, just as it always has. The trees sway without our instruction. The tides rise and fall without our command. And life, this great mysterious dance, continues with or without our heroic participation. So we sit back, not out of weakness, but out of wisdom. We watch the young ones rush, as we once did, and we smile, not in regret, not in longing, but in understanding, because we finally see what we could not see before. The beauty was never in the chase. It was always in the dance itself. And now, as quiet spectators, we get to enjoy it fully, without the need to keep up, without the pressure to prove, and without the illusion that we were ever in control of the music. There is a curious thing about words. When we are young, we believe they are everything. We talk to be heard, we argue to be right, and we fill the air with noise, hoping that somewhere in all the speaking we will be understood. But as the years pass, we begin to see the truth. Words are only the surface of things, and the deepest truths lie beneath them, in silence. Silence is not an emptiness, nor is it a void. It is the space in which real understanding unfolds. A wise man does not need to shout his wisdom, nor does he waste energy proving his point. Instead, he knows that in stillness, everything is already understood by those who are ready to see. Consider the vast sky. It does not need to explain itself. The river does not argue with the stones. It moves around. The mountains stand in silent strength, and yet their presence speaks louder than any sermon. In the same way, when we grow older, we learn that silence holds a power that words cannot match. Now, in conversation, notice how much is truly communicated in the spaces between words. The knowing glance, the pause before a response, the unspoken acceptance of another's presence. These are the moments where real connection happens, beyond the chatter of the mind. The world is obsessed with noise. It demands opinions, reactions, declarations. But when you remain silent, something incredible happens. You become free, free from the need to convince, free from the endless debates, free from the illusion that speaking more means knowing more. In the end, silence does not mean absence. It means presence. A presence so vast, so complete, that it does not need to be spoken. And when you embrace this silence, you will find something unexpected. Everything you ever sought was waiting there all along. The world is a restless place, the great marketplace of voices, opinions, arguments, and ceaseless chatter. From the moment we are born, we are drawn into this noise, into the constant exchange of thoughts, the urgency of being heard, the pressure to participate. We are taught that to matter, we must have a say, that to belong, we must add our voice to the chorus. But as the years go by, something shifts. We begin the half-laugh. There was a time when every debate felt like a battle worth fighting, when every disagreement demanded a response, and when being right felt like a victory. We argued to prove a point, to assert our knowledge, to shape the world according to our beliefs. We thought that if we could just explain things properly, others would see the truth as we saw it. But as the years pass, something shifts. We begin to notice a pattern. The same arguments, the same egos, the same endless cycle. People talk, but few listen. Minds are rarely changed. And even when they are, life continues just the same. At a certain point, you step back and see the absurdity of it all. The world has been debating itself for centuries. Philosophers, scholars, politicians, ordinary people, all locked in the same dance of words, each believing they hold the ultimate truth. And yet, the sun still rises, the seasons still turn, and the universe does not pause for a single one of these discussions. And so, instead of arguing, you laugh. Not a laughter of mockery, but one of deep understanding. You laugh at the seriousness with which people defend illusions. You laugh at the energy spent on things that do not matter. You laugh because you have finally seen through the great game of opinions. This is not disengagement, it is wisdom. You realize that peace is worth more than the fleeting satisfaction of being right. That most debates are like ripples on the surface of a vast ocean, temporary, insignificant, unable to disturb the deep stillness beneath. So instead of arguing, you smile. Instead of proving, you listen. Instead of fighting, you enjoy, because you finally understand. The world does not need your opinions as much as it needs your presence. For much of life, we live in pretense, not because we are dishonest, because we are conditioned to be performers. We project an image of who we think we should be, who we hope the world will accept. We decorate reality with our desires, shaping it into something more comfortable, more flattering, more aligned with the stories we tell ourselves. But pretense is exhausting. It requires constant effort to uphold, to adjust, to maintain. It keeps us tangled in illusions, mistaking what is imagined for what is real. Then one day, something shifts. Perhaps it happens gradually, like the fading of a distant sound. Or perhaps it comes all at once, like a sudden gust of wind. You start pretending. You start needing things to be different from what they are. You stop resisting life's raw, unfiltered truth. And in that moment, you meet life as it is. Not as a story, not as a hope, not as a performance, but as a presence so vast, so undeniable that words cannot contain it. In silence, there is no need to impress, no need to explain, no need to fix. There is only what is. The rustling of leaves, the distant hum of the world, the steady rhythm of your own breath. You become part of it, not separate from it. The pretense belongs to the past, the striving, the proving, the needing to be more. But presence belongs to the eternal now, where nothing is lacking, nothing is missing, and nothing needs to be anything other than what it is. And so you sit in stillness, not because you must, but because there is nowhere else to be. You are no longer a character in the play. You are the silent witness of it all. For most of our lives, we are taught to fear the unknown. We seek answers, certainty, and control, believing that if we can just understand everything, we will be safe. We try to map out the future, explain the unexplainable, and wrap the vastness of existence into neat little packages of logic and reason. Really, but life does not work that way. It never has, Nelson. The deeper you look, the more you realize that the greatest truths remain just out of reach, like the horizon that moves as you walk toward it. Science, philosophy, and religion all attempt to define the infinite, yet none can fully grasp the totality of what this life, death, existence really is. And yet, there comes a point when you no longer need to grasp it. Instead of fearing the mystery, you embrace it. The unknown is not a void to be filled. It is an invitation to wonder. It is the vast sky at night, stretching beyond what the eye can see. It is the depth of the ocean, holding secrets we may never uncover. It is the simple miracle of breath, of consciousness, of being here at all. Why must we demand answers when the questions themselves are so beautiful? Why must we shrink the infinite into the limited frame of human understanding? A child does not need to explain the stars to be mesmerized by them. A river does not need to know its destination to keep flowing. And you do not need to solve the mystery of life to be in awe of it, Ali. So let go of the need to know. Let go of the fear of not knowing. Stand at the edge of the great unknown, not as a frightened seeker, but as a joyful wanderer. Smile at the vastness of it all. Dance weakly. For much of life, we play roles. We wear masks, not out of deception, but out of necessity. We strive to be seen, to be valued, to be part of the great human performance. We chase success, approval, and recognition, believing that our worth is tied to how well we play our part. But then something profound happens. With age comes a quiet wisdom, an understanding that the stage was never real, that the applause was fleeting, and that no performance, no matter how grand, ever truly defined us. The need to impress fades. The desire to prove dissolves, and in its place comes something far more valuable, the ability to simply witness. To be an observer is to step back from the frantic urgency of life and watch it unfold without attachment. It is to see people as they are, not as they pretend to be. It is to recognize that most arguments are just egos dancing with each other, that most ambitions are castles built on shifting sand. You no longer need to be in the center of it all. You can sit at the edge of the river and watch it flow, knowing that it moves with or without your interference. You can listen without needing to respond, knowing that truth does not require defense. You can exist without the weight of expectation, knowing that you were never meant to be anything other than yourself. This is not withdrawal, it is awakening. The performer is always striving, always seeking, always exhausted. But the observer is free. Free to enjoy life without needing to control it. Free to experience without a burden of proving anything. Free to laugh, to breathe, to be. And in this quiet witnessing, you may just discover something unexpected. You were never the performer to begin with. You were always the observer. You just didn't realize it yet. Life is a river, always moving, always changing, never pausing for anyone. When we are young, we believe we must fight against the current, shape it, direct it, make it bend to our will. We set goals, chase ambitions, and push forward with all our might, convinced that we must control the flow to reach where we want to go. But as time passes, we begin to see the futility of this struggle. The river does not ask us to push it. It moves effortlessly on its own. No matter how much we plan, resist, or try to hold on to moments. Life continues its journey, indifferent to our grasping. And so there comes a point when we must make a choice, continue struggling against the current or surrender to the flow. Or surrender is not defeat, it is wisdom. It is understanding that life unfolds with or without our interference. It is recognizing that no amount of worry or force will change what is meant to be. The sun will rise without our permission, the seasons will turn without our effort, and people will come and go as they are meant to. Letting the river flow means embracing change without resistance. It means no longer clinging to the past or fearing the future. It means trusting that just like the river knows its way to the ocean, life knows its way to where it must go. So stop pedaling so hard, let go of the need to control, to force, to dictate the direction. Relax into the current, and you will find that the journey becomes effortless. The river was always taking you exactly where you needed to be. You just had to stop fighting it to see. For most of life, we carry a name, a reputation, a carefully crafted idea of who we are. This is the ego, the story we tell ourselves, the image we present to the world that must be where to feel significant. We spend years defending this image, feeding it with achievements, opinions, and validations. We measure our worth by how others see us, mistaking this fragile identity for our true self. But as time passes, something curious happens. The things that once felt so important, the status, the titles, the endless proving of ourselves, begin to lose that grip. The roles we played start to blur, and we realize that much of what we held on to was never really us. The ego fades, and with it, something extraordinary happens. Freedom. Without the weight of self-importance, life becomes lighter. There is no longer a need to win arguments, to impress, to be admired. You no longer need to prove yourself because you see that there was never anyone to prove anything to. The grand performance of being someone was just an illusion, a game played by the young, by the restless, by those still caught in the dream of self. When the ego dissolves, reality becomes clearer. You see things as they are, not as they relate to you. You realize that the trees do not grow for your benefit, the waves do not crash for your entertainment, and the stars do not shine to impress you. They simply are. And so are you. In this clarity, life ceases to be a struggle. There is no longer the burden of expectation, no longer the anxiety of maintaining a persona. You can simply exist like the sky, like the wind, like the river that flows effortlessly toward the dock.